Welcome to Harlequin's Gardens Plant Nursery. I'm Mikl Brawner. This presentation on Waterwise gardening is based on my 40 years of experience growing plants with little water outside Boulder, Colorado, where nature only provides 15 to 20 inches of annual precipitation. This view is of the land next door to us. It looks a lot like what I started with. The garden you'll be seeing is only watered once a week, even in this hot and dry year 2026. Water is very precious. We animals are 50 to 90% water, plants are 80 to 90% water. As temperatures get hotter, we all need more water, or we have to learn how to conserve water or to use water more efficiently. Here in Colorado, while desertification is still in its early stages, we need to adapt our landscapes to use less water, conserve more water, and create cooler, more life-supporting conditions. Transforming our gardens and landscapes is not a simple solution. But we have to recognize that we live in a Western, semi-arid environment. Beauty can still be important to us, of course, but partnering with nature has to be primary. We need to cultivate a home ecosystem that functions like nature, with resilience, vitality, and symbiosis. A permaculture model could work, stacking multiple functions like water conservation, native habitat, food production, beauty, carbon capture and fertility, growing plants for shade and photosynthesis, energy capture, and for abundance to share with others. Here are a few steps we can take. Plant more trees and shrubs for shading our homes and our soil. Plant more native plants. Choose one area to be a low water garden and only water once a week, or maybe twice a week in July. Make a no-water garden with very xeric plants and mulch, water only to establish, or maybe only twice or once a year. Copy Harlequin's Garden's 3 lists of Waterwise plants and use them as a guide. Expand those lists from your own experience. Have a no-water garden, a 5 to 7 times a year garden, and a once a week watering garden. Incorporate compost into your soil, mixing 20 to 30% with your clay to hold moisture, provide carbon and light fertilization for the soil biology and for the plants. Mulch 1 to 3 inches with fine wood chips is our preference, that holds moisture better and doesn't blow away as easily. Avoid cedar and redwood, like gorilla hair, because they are more flammable and they resist decay. Decay is good, it leads to fertility. And don't use weed barrier, that fabric weed barrier, because the mulch blows right off it. The pores in the fabric plug up and reduce water and air, and it prevents us from feeding the soil, and it prevents worms from going up and down, aerating the soil and taking the mulch and compost down into the soil. Keep the soil covered with either mulch or, even better, with living plants. This keeps the soil life fed with plant sugars and keeps them from drying out. Plant cover crops and nitrogen-fixing plants. Inoculate when planting with mycorrhizae, the symbiotic fungus that brings water and nutrients to the roots of plants. Use organic fertilizers and then go light even on them, but don't use chemical fertilizers because they do not provide micronutrients that help to support the immune systems, and sometimes they will actually burn the plants. Use rock minerals and seaweed to support plant health and immune systems. Use efficient watering systems with manual shutoffs so that when it is raining, you can turn off your watering system. Garden without pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. These poisons, kill the beneficial bacteria, fungi, and beneficial insects that are our allies. To achieve pest management, use nutrition and the natural defense mechanisms. Many trees, shrubs, and perennials can be grown with less than once a week watering. Harlequin's Gardens has been doing that for 40 years. If you water once a week, you will get more flowers to support the pollinators and beauty. One suggestion is to plant the right plant in the right place. That means providing the right conditions for the plants so that they're supported rather than fighting against the natural conditions. And then there are the things that I call the water equivalencies, that instead of adding more water, that you can use to equal water. Shade equals water. So if you put your plants where they get protection from the late afternoon sun, for example, or underneath the partial shade of a tree, this equals water. You'll need to water less. A half a day of Colorado sun is often equal to what we would call full sun in the Midwest. Planting rocks equals water, because very curiously and interestingly, if you put a rock next to a plant, they get their roots down underneath the rock, and the rock will condense moisture in the evenings or on cool nights. The moisture will condense and go under the rock and will actually help a plant to survive and thrive where one planted 6 inches away without a rock would not survive. Soil prep equals water. We talked about that. Adding compost holds moisture. Adding expanded shale, because it is porous, it holds moisture. And the beneficial fungi, because they bring water to the roots of plants, are a substitute for water. Wind protection equals water, because the wind can dry out our plants, especially in the winter, because our winter sun can be very hot and drying, and so wind protection equals water. Where they get wind protection, they will need less water. And mulch equals water, of course, because it keeps the soils from dehydrating and the water from evaporating. Mulch equals water. Deadheading equals water. Now that one's a little curious, a little maybe not so clear as to why that would be. But the reason is because when plants go to seed, the creation of the seed takes a lot of energy from the mother plant. And so if you deadhead right when the flowers are over and before they take the energy to make seeds, you can save the energy, you can save the plant from having to make all that energy to make seeds, and that will help the plant to survive with less water. And it's also a good idea to group your plants by water needs, because if you put your high water plants with your low water plants, then you're having to water all your plants the same, and you're going to be wasting a lot of water on plants that could be getting by with a lot less. It's a good idea, if you're not sure of what you're doing and you haven't done this before, is to start small with your water smart approach until you build your confidence. But if you do that, it will help save our precious water and cool our precious plant. We can do this, and it's a good idea to start now.